And we're back. Part 2, history commentary meets War on Castle meets spawn camping and learning how to do that. So, and I left off with the rise of Hitler and the false flag operations and the Patriot Act, blah blah blah. What ended up happening in Nazi Germany is the arson of Parliament on February 27th. Parliament at that time was known as the Reichstag. All right. It was used as an excuse for the cancellation of civil and political liberties enacted by the aged President Paul von Hindenburg and the Rightist Coalition cabinet led by Hitler. Right? They blamed this on a mentally disabled guy that they found in the alley behind. This guy had a long history of mental disorder, mental problems. So take that into account. The arson was saying they blamed it on another country, and I can't remember exactly what country it was, but they blamed it on another country, and they pointed the finger at them. And in all honesty, what ended up happening is it's not 100%, but the building was actually it was a false flag operation committed by Germany, essentially to instill fear in the people, to allow them to pass this act, which essentially gave all power to the government, and then that's kind of the rest of that. But now I'm going to jump into the start of the war, and according to us, right, in the United States, the start of the war was the attack of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. You guys know about that. I don't really need to go into that too much. I'm sure you guys have all seen the beautiful Pearl Harbor movie, which glorifies it, and of course there's a love story in there, and blah blah blah. But that happened, and that was the deal with that. Now, we go a bit further, and we're going to start talking about the Normandy landings, otherwise known as D-Day. That was the Allied invasion of Normandy, also known as Operation Neptune and Operation Overlord. The landings commenced on Tuesday, the 6th of June, 1944, beginning at 6:30 British double summertime, UTC +2. The assault was conducted in two phases: an air assault landing of American, British, Canadian, and Free French airborne troops shortly after midnight. Right? That, of course, is you have the paratroopers dropping in Normandy. They dropped in Normandy, and they were dispersed. They were all over the place. There was very little cohesion, which was unfortunately a major issue and a major problem for those who were dropped inland during D-Day and the invasion of Normandy. And of course you had the amphibious landing, which we've all seen, Saving Private Ryan, right? And that was actually very accurate in regards to how it played out. Of course it's dramatic and everything, but the Germans definitely had, embankments, and they were entrenched, and they had heavy machine gun, and they had all those metal, I don't know the term for them, but those were to keep the craft from landing ashore, essentially, and forcing the troops to bail early out in the sea, which made them slow and made them easier targets. It was very strategic. That was the largest amphibious invasion of all time, with 175,000 troops landing. 195,700 Allied naval and merchant navy personnel and over 5,000 ships were involved. The invasion required the transport of soldiers and material from the United Kingdom by troop-laden aircraft and ships, the assault landings, air support, naval interdiction of the English Channel, and naval fire support. The landings took place along a 50-mile stretch of the Normandy coast divided into 5 sectors: the Utah sector, the Omaha sector, Gold, Juno, and Sword sectors. And that is the first part of my little World War II history embarkment. I'd like to talk more about the Pacific Theater. I think that's really an overlooked chapter of World War II. We like to talk about Nazi Germany and the Holocaust, all of which are extremely important, but there was an entirely another separate war happening in an entirely different place, and the conditions were much worse than what you might have faced in Germany. This was all throughout the Pacific Theater, traveling in and out of the Philippines, the Battle of Midway, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and then among others. And then, of course, let's not forget what almost happened was the invasion of Japan, which probably would have been the deadliest invasion the United States has ever participated in, more than likely. The Japanese were a proud people, and they were a proud soldier, and they would fight to the death. And if they couldn't fight to the death, they would have killed themselves. And there were suicides that happened all over the place, mass suicides. And not only that, but there's all kinds of underground entrenchments and everything else like that in Japan. They were preparing for the invasion of Japan was. And there were places where they would actually put people, caves, and they'd block it off. And brutal. It was a brutal thing. But I'm going to get more into that. I'm going to get more into Germany and its role. As a side note, as a final finishing side note, the United States had information prior to the invasion of Pearl Harbor that attack was going to happen. I believe, and in my best opinion, I think that the United States not only knew about it, but wanted to become involved in the war. FDR had said, we do not want to get involved in the war. However, there is a separate power at hand in our government today, and always has been, and it's the Federal Reserve Bank, and it's the financiers of the United States of America. Follow the dollar. There is money in war, lots of money in war. And in the next commentary, I'll get into the United States corporation's involvement in World War II, IBM namely, and some other really unknown facts that I think should be taught in school. I think it's really important that people understand that in the United States, the dollar reigns supreme, and it doesn't matter. Life is kind of second when it comes to anything like that, you know. And I'm actually nonpartisan. I am neither Democrat nor Republican, and I just want to share this information and see if you guys can take anything from it. But I hope you enjoyed the history lesson so far. Really informal, nothing special, pretty basic. So I do appreciate you checking out my channel, checking out the commentary, and big ups to Ma for the idea. Anyway, so I hope y'all enjoyed. I don't know what I finished, 60 something and something, so whatever. But hope you got a lot out of it, and take care, guys. Research, vamonos.